All right, friends. Hello, hello. So I am here in Orange County, California with my friend and colleague, author of the book Disconnected, Tom Kersting. So I asked you guys for your questions because technology is one of the biggest battlefields, probably the biggest battlefield that we're facing in our families, and we need help. So Tom's here to help us. He's here to answer any questions that you might have. And let's get started.
All right.
So thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Number one question that I get in my talks and that I had in my Facebook group is, how old should kids be to get a smartphone?
All right, so I'm going to say something that may sound a little abrupt. I didn't come up with this, but people ask that question all the time, and the answer is, so what is the right age to get my child a cell phone? And the
It's
answer,
in your book, isn't it?
Yeah.
It scared me when
Should I say that term? Should I say it, or should I make it a little lighter?
No, it's like when I read that in your book, it was like,
Yeah.
I mean, no one wants to hear the truth, right? So go ahead,
All right, so
say
I'm
the
just
truth.
I'm going to say it bluntly. And I didn't come up with this. I heard this somewhere. The right age to get your child a cell phone or a smartphone is when you feel comfortable with them watching pornographic material. And that's as pretty blunt as it can get. And that's what we want. We want people to raise their eyebrows. Because that's the truth. Once these kids get these phones, you can't escape all of the inappropriate content. And you can look at a young boy, and they see something, they're on YouTube, they get an advertisement for some provocative image and so forth. They're going to click on it.
For sure.
And they could go down that rabbit hole.
Exactly. So, okay, knowing that, right? None of us want our kids watching pornography, right? At any age. I mean,
of course not.
Right? So, knowing that, what age? You have two children.
Yeah.
Your son is a junior in high school, right? Same as my daughter. And what age did you give him a cell phone? Because I know when you wrote this, he did not have a cell phone at 13.
Yeah, so he was when he graduated 8th grade, so he was like the last kid left.
Yeah,
so
us too.
He's a responsible kid. He's a little bit easier to deal with. So I gave him my old cell phone, told him there's no social media or anything like that, and he literally hasn't had any social media. So now that he's almost 17,
social media.
Yeah, he just got Snapchat for the first time, and he's old enough. He's almost 17. That's fine. But he's old enough. The problem is when kids are 11, 12, 13, 14, they can't handle what comes with Instagram and Snapchat and constant feedback and superficiality.
Isn't it age 13? It says, right, for these apps. Should be the minimum.
Yeah, but I think it should be later than that. Like some of the other folks I've spoken to, experts on this topic, we agree that late adolescence is the right time to get a kid a smartphone.
Right.
It's not the smartphone that's bad. If you can somehow, if you're able to get your kid a smartphone and manage them not having any social media, then I don't really have a problem, to be honest with you. As long as they're not spending hours and hours playing games and so forth. But it's just a phone where they can contact their friends and they're not controlled by it, which is hard to accomplish, then we're okay.
Right. But what I found, we were doing that with our daughter, who's younger. Our boys, we let them have smartphones at 14 going into high school. And our daughter, we went ahead and let her have one. So she was 8th grade. But she was sneaking Snapchat, right? She was sneaking. So what do you say to parents who are trying to uphold these rules and their kid is, sneaking apps?
Yeah.
And
so I tell parents, if you do get your kid a smartphone, go to my website, tomkersting.com. I have a contract on there.
Okay.
And the first...
Make sure you're talking loud so they can hear you.
Yeah, I have a contract. I have a cold. I have a contract on my website. So if you do get your kid a smartphone, the contract spells everything out. First of all, the phone isn't theirs. It's mine.
Right.
I'm just loaning it to you.
Did you buy the phone?
Yeah.
Did you buy the phones?
Yeah, I mean, we all do, right, for our kids for the most part?
Well, I made that mistake. I let my kids buy them, and now I struggle because
but even if they bought it, it's still your house, your rules, and
our data plan.
Just spell it out. One of the rules is that you're not allowed to use social media, and you find them on social media, let them know what the consequences are ahead of time. If that means we're taking your phone away for a week, then you take the phone away for a week.
Okay.
Little steps like that. It's just about being, having rules and being, being responsible in that respect, and then holding them accountable if they break any of the rules.
Right, but our problem is we want our kids to be happy, right? And we like being friends with our kids, and so we're not upholding these hard lines, these hard boundaries, and I think that's the problem today, right? We know this stuff isn't good for our kids.
Yeah.
But we don't want to see our kids unhappy, or we're afraid that our kids are going to get left out.
Well, I tell people if they could, I had a phone call today from a mom. Right, I did a lecture upstate New York several months ago. She's got twin 14-year-old boys. She waited until 8th grade to get them. The kids were fine. The boy is now hospitalized from spending hours and hours on his phone.
Ugh.
Lost sight of himself. Bad stuff. Took it, there was an attempted suicide. He's now hospitalized. Again, those are extreme examples, but that's from just being unregulated. Like when these kids get their phones, it's like they now make the rules with it. It really should be the parents doing that.
Exactly. Now, do you recommend people put what is it called, screen time, whatever comes on the iPhone now? Do you recommend people use that?
I wouldn't use the iPhone app.
Okay.
Because it's a scam.
What do you use now? It is a scam.
Well, it is. What happened is about a year when the iPhone 10 or whatever came out. So what actually happened is that Apple was getting pressure from their shareholders because there was so many problems with it, and they said you got to do something about this. So what they did is they put these new parental controls to make themselves look good. But all the other good parenting apps that were out there, after they did that, you could no longer
I know, because I had RPact on my kid's phone, and then you couldn't use it.
So Apple put all of them out of business, and it's because they really don't want people to not be on the phone. They're not in the business of keeping people off the phone. So the one I would recommend that does work is one called Net Nanny.
Okay, Net Nanny. Okay.
And I know the guys really well. I was a spokesperson for them.
Oh, wow.
They rebranded it, and you could put restrictions, limitations. You could see everything your kid does.
Okay.
Hands down, the only app I'd recommend.
Really, Net Nanny, and that's for the phone. Does it work on the computers?
Just for the phone. It's an
Just
app
for
that you
the
get
phone.
on the phone. Yeah.
Okay, everybody check out Net Nanny. I don't know it. I've tried several, and now that my triplets are 18, I mean, I feel like I'm just more having conversations with them than putting Net Nanny on the phone. But my 13-year-old is coming behind him, and he doesn't have a phone yet. And I'm so happy because his middle school has no phones in their middle school.
Yep.
So much easier.
So I got to tell you something. So we're in California because I'm out here lecturing. So I did a couple of lectures already. So one is at this middle school called Mariners Christian. So I had some meetings there yesterday, and when I had to walk through like the playground during recess. Every kid at the school was out throwing a football around, playing basketball, doing stuff. So the first thing that came to mind that I knew right away is that there's no phones allowed during recess during lunch.
Okay.
Because otherwise you'd have all these middle schoolers huddled around the phone in various different corners.
Right.
So that's a great rule I think every school should.
For sure. Okay, another question we had from one of my Facebook friends is, how do we monitor Snapchat?
Well, if it's a younger kid, I would recommend just getting rid of it and make it clear. If your kid has a phone, you're going to get them a phone. Even if they are allowed to have Snapchat, let's say, make it clear to your kids that you will be monitoring their phone. You're going to have the password. The phone is not theirs. You will check their phone, and if they break those rules and regulations, there are consequences. Okay. That's what kids need. They need rules, consistency, and consequences.
Exactly. But Snapchat, it is really hard to monitor, right? So you've got to know your kid and know if they can handle that, right?
So a couple of tips, a couple of good ones, right? And I really firmly believe in this. Send your kid to school without the phone. They don't need a phone in school.
Yeah.
Okay? It's really more about the parents. It's like the umbilical cord. Parent needs to know what the kids are doing all the time. Don't let them have it in the bedroom.
Right.
Now, if they're around us, we know what they're doing. But if they're on their own in a bedroom for hours and we're in school, they're going to be doing stuff when we don't know that they're doing it.
For sure. And we have that rule. We've always had that rule in our home. But I found my daughter, she still keeps lately bringing it back to her room, right? It's like a toddler again. And I have to keep going back and reminding her of the rules. What do you say for that kid that isn't following the rules? Like they've had the contract, they know the rules, but they're still pushing against them.
You take the phone away.
Take the phone away. I know I need to do that.
You take the phone away.
Are you listening, daughter?
Because you're afraid of what the reaction. I know her. Because you know she's going to freak out. That's okay. Let her freak out for a little bit.
I know. No, it's so true. Okay. You had written a post I saw about the problem with photo roulette. Do you guys know this app? This new, it's like a game, right? Because
yeah, I know a little bit. Did I write the post?
Yeah, it is your post.
Is it? Okay. It might have been my media company that did it.
I know a little bit. It talked about because they take your all your information, and our kids aren't thinking beyond just downloading an app, right? Mm-hmm. But we've got to teach our kids why we don't just hand out all of our personal information.
I remember now.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, here's another. I'll tell you. You want to hear how bad it is right now? So that's the next big thing we're going to see with tech, with the industry, is data collection. 5G, when that comes out, isn't about making money from 5G. It's about making money from data collection. Because they'll see every single thing that you do, and they'll build a perfect profile and sell that to third-party advertisers. An example, so I have a private counseling practice. So if new people call my office to leave a message, and I usually call them back on my cell phone. And this is somebody I don't know. I've never met them before. I'll call them on my cell phone. And then a couple of hours later, if I go on my Facebook page, there that person is as a potential friend request. So how the heck, basically, so Facebook knows what I'm doing on my phone.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It finds out who they are. And one other example. I was looking to buy a new watch a couple years ago. going online. I wound up not buying it because I'm a tough buyer. I'm a tough person to sell to. I think things through. And
just buy it.
So within a week, I get a catalog in the mail from Cartier watches. Like, I never got a catalog ever on anything. So they knew what I was doing, and they take that information, and now I'm a perfect target marketer for them.
Wow. Yeah. So what do you say about kids downloading apps on their phone freely? Like, what do you do with your son? What's the rules around downloading apps?
I look through his phone, and I don't see anything on there, but I tell you, you're not allowed to download anything unless you ask me first. I mean, he's almost 17, but that doesn't mean he has free will to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, exactly.
So NetNanny, that app, if you get that app, you will get an alert on your phone as a parent to everything your kid downloads.
Oh wow!
Every website.
I don't know if I want that.
Yeah, that's the problem. I know it's a little bit invasive, but if you really want to know what your kids are doing, NetNanny, the kids can't escape with that app.
But that's good when kids are starting out, I think, right? And younger kids especially. We need to know what they're doing. I mean, we don't want to give them this and put our head in the sand.
Yeah, we're really, and again, I've been doing this for so long, but we're on the vanguard right now of we're in the middle of probably the greatest societal change that we've ever seen in history, and not for the better.
No. I mean, technology is an amazing tool.
Yeah.
It's a great thing, right? You and I we wouldn't know each other, right? I wrote that post on 8 things you should stop doing for your teen, and then you had sent me your book, and we had talked, and we've been in touch. We just did the podcast interview together. Like, there's amazing things for adults when it comes to technology.
Well, and you're right. I mean, when I give my lectures, I'll make it very clear that technology isn't bad. Technology is good.
Right.
A glass of wine with dinner isn't bad.
Right.
9 glasses of wine with dinner is. Right. So that's
True.
the problem. It's not an hour. The average kid's spending 9 hours a day.
I know. It's scary what's going on. So,
2 glasses of wine might be okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when in Orange County. Okay, so what about here's a question we have about AirPods. These AirPods, we see kids walking around all the time with these headphones or these AirPods. I see kids, like my daughter plays basketball, and you see the players out there warming up with AirPods in their ears. They're not even talking to each other.
So I'm pulling something up on my phone right now. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show the viewers. So if you don't have a strong stomach, do not look when I show you this. I just got to find it. So here's the problem with AirPods. My son got a pair almost 2 years ago from one of these neighbors that love him across the street, and they gave him a pair. And at the time, I didn't really know all that much about it, but I've been doing a lot of research on radiation exposure from cell phone towers, our smartphones, from our routers, and so forth. And what's the amount of radiation that is coming from those wireless things? So if you're on your phone all the time, that's going to cause problems. There's all kinds of peer-reviewed studies showing causality. So let me just put this in perspective. A lady, I was in Texas back in September doing some lectures, and I was talking about radiation exposure and so forth, and a woman in her 70s comes up to me and says, my daughter just had basal cell cancer removed from the side of her head right here from being on her phone all the time. She was 42 years old, and she showed me a picture from the day before of the surgery. Let me pull it up if I can find it. See, I'm not really that good with these things, as you can tell, folks.
Hey, this is on the fly here. So people are really getting cancer.
Yeah. Already
from these phones. I mean, we know that the research is out there that this is coming.
Yeah, it's really awful. I mean, so the cellular industry, as an example, spends $11 million a year lobbying to Congress to keep the federal regulations where they are on cell phone towers, and the regulations are insane compared to what the experts recommend in terms of what kind of biological problems you can develop, brain tumors, heart tumors. So let me find this. I think it's coming up.
So for that reason alone, we've really got them on.
Yeah.
And so you're saying the AirPods.
Here's the photo. All right. So
no.
Yeah. I'm going to show this, but so you're basically injecting radiation directly into your ear canal. So you see these kids with the wireless ones. Anybody listening? Get rid of them. This is from a woman that spent a lot of time on her phone talking to it, just with the phone being next to her. Close your eyes if you are not. Look at
no,
Amy.
People need to see this, but.
And this is a real photo. This was the day before that she had this removed from the side of her head. Yeah, so it's pretty disgusting, but this is what we're up against, right? Not far from here in San Joaquin, California.
Yeah.
In last spring, there were 4 elementary school kids diagnosed with brain tumors in one school. So some of the parents questioned the fact that there's a cell phone tower on the property. They tested it. It met federal regulations, and now this fall, 4 more kids in that school were diagnosed with rare forms of cancer, and now the school removed the cell phone tower. So this is real stuff.
Wow.
But it's, you know, like everything else, there's a lot of power in big industries and so forth.
Oh, right.
And
That's
stuff
right.
we don't know about.
We have to think. I wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking more along the terms of just not being present with us, right?
Oh, yeah. That.
I mean, that's major. But I mean, like I always tell my kids when they're riding in the car next to me, like you're not going to sit there with headphones. I mean, they really don't because it's not a culture that we've set up. But like they're not walking around our home and wearing these AirPods and things. But I didn't even think about the health issues.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? But you're right. I mean, I talk about that and Disconnected about, you know, the fact that the average parent spends just 3.5 minutes per week in meaningful conversation with their kids. And it's because our kids, no matter if we're at dinner with them, if they're at the dinner table, they're always distracted by their phones, their earbuds, the car rides to school. Our kids are not present, communicating with us. And, you know, you take, you know, the 5-minute car ride to and from school, multiply that by a full school year, you're looking at about 30 hours of lost quality time every kid.
So what's your advice to parents then? I mean,
what I do, so I drive my son to school every day. You know, it's 15 minutes away. There's no phone, earbuds.
Right.
He doesn't do much talking because he's tired.
Yeah.
So I talk. I do the talking.
You do all the talking.
And he listens.
Imagine that.
You know, he might not think he's listening, but it's penetrating, I promise you.
No, it's true, though. It's just to hold these boundaries, right? Because it's important. So, okay, another question we had was, what are the most important boundaries that every family should have, right? We talked about no phones in the bedrooms, no phones at the dinner table, but what's another one?
I think the most important one for the parents, everybody listening right now, is practice what you preach. So right now, parents are spending slightly more time per day using screens than kids are. So if we're at home and we're on our devices, I know work is always calling, but if we're on our devices, we're on our laptops, we're on our iPads, our kids are modeling our behavior. So we have to be present for them. And we have to make those rules that when we're together in the household, that we can't have 99% of our time being on screens. We have to be doing what you and I are doing right now.
Exactly. So, okay. What you have a new book, a second book coming out in August, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that book.
So the new book is the second edition of this one. Okay, it's being put out by a major publisher. So it has a completely different cover design. It's a yellow cover, bright yellow, slightly different title, and lots of up-to-date, newer material in that book, and some new chapters. And because it's with a big publisher, I've had I've been fortunate to have professional editors.
Yeah.
So the book, as good as this book is, and I'm very proud of it and grateful, the next one is phenomenal. I was actually reading the first round of edits when I was on a flight back in September, and I got so lost in the book, and I forgot I wrote it. I was like, this is good stuff. Holy cow, I wrote this. I didn't know I had that kind of brain.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so what other advice do you have for parents that are struggling, right? That they're struggling to uphold the boundaries with their kids when it comes to technology?
Yeah, so my whole message is that we have to start the process of reconnecting as human beings and it starts with our own families. And the only way we can do that is to disconnect from this screen world more often, because we're spending the majority of our waking hours using screens. What Amy and I are doing right now is a good version of screen time, by the way. Because we're using it. This is actually a very, and I'm serious when I say that. I mean, this is a good thing of technology. I can get my message out, you can get yours out. But if we did this like 8 or 9 hours a day, 7 days a week, we'd have a problem.
Right, exactly. No, neither of us have time for this. But it's important because, I learned so much from people on technology. So use it in healthy ways. My whole, this is my one that came upside down. My whole second section, or my whole chapter is about disconnect to reconnect.
Yeah.
So, so it's all about just bringing simple playtime back and having those sacred spaces in our homes and in our lives. So, where can everybody follow you?
So you can find me on Twitter at Tom Kersting.
Are you still on Twitter? You're the last person still on Twitter.
Not really. I mean, I have it. I have a.
These people are aren't on Twitter.
I have a PR company that, because I'm really bad with this stuff, with Facebook, and I just got Instagram. I mean, I'm not really into Instagram. I'm not like the one that's like, hey, look at me.
Right.
But,
you didn't even know what your post was.
But the PR, like, you have to use social media to get your message out. So you can find me on there, on Instagram and all that stuff. Then they tell me you got to take these little short videos of yourself, and I just haven't really been able to bring myself to do it yet.
I know. This is hard for me to do. But
no, this is fine. This is good.
This is important. So I just think the most important thing is to follow experts like Tom and my dear friend Lisa Stroman. These are probably my two favorite experts that I follow and get advice from because I struggle. I mean, I struggle as a parent knowing what's the right thing to do and what privileges to give my kids and what boundaries to uphold. So just educate yourself, though. I think that's the most important thing.
One other quick thing, for couples out there, you have to get on the same page. So I see a lot of parents where one parent is very, has a certain set of rules and the other parent doesn't. You got to meet somewhere in the middle. You got to get together. If your husband or your wife doesn't agree with you, or you feel strongly about something, you got to tell them, listen, I'm in charge.
Yeah, the one with the toughest rules is in charge, right? Because this is serious stuff, right? And I think that technology is part of the world. I mean, our kids are, so at some point, I think we do need them to have it and to start teaching them and training them how to use this.
And what I'm just trying to do is do this. So right now, technology is controlling us, and we need to turn it like that, like take the earth and make it spin the other way and get back to where we're in control of it.
Exactly. So, all right, well, I'm excited to come hear your talk, and I've got my notebook to take notes for myself and to take back to you guys. And so if you're watching this on the replay or you have any questions, just post them, and then maybe Tom would be able to jump on there and we can continue to give advice and help each other, because technology is a big battlefield for us today when raising kids, and we're here to help.
You can see all the names there. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Sue. I have pretty good eyesight. Hi, Brenda.
Yeah, I don't.
Hi, Kristen. Hi, Diane. I don't have good hearing, though.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Take care. I actually have terrible hearing. You ready for this?